Introducing the Fingerprint Scanner Lockbox. It was definitely a challenge, but I'm excited to say that I finally got those solenoids moving and the fingerprints uploaded to the fingerprint library. This video is going to be about the processes I used and the challenges I faced when creating this project, so hopefully if you're watching this you can learn from my mistakes and build something awesome. The first step in making an awesome lockbox is finding the box. I was so lucky to find this last clearance armoire or something from Pier 1 Imports. It was absolutely perfect because it had space on top for me to house my tech and also on the side so that the solenoids were hidden. There are a lot of different sizes of solenoids, but I ended up finding these small 4.5 volt solenoids that kind of fit the box perfectly. You want to make sure the drawer can move when the solenoid is activated and that it goes far enough into the drawer to stop it when there's no power in the solenoid. The fingerprint scanner was a little bit complicated at first because while the diagrams had different colored wires, the one that Adafruit sells currently just has a bundle of red wires. Luckily, they have this diagram available so I could tell exactly what was ground, what was power, what was receiving, and what was transmitting. All I had to do was strip the wires, add a male end pin, and then use heat shrink tubing to seal off the end. More problem solving came into play when I had to figure out how to incorporate all of the tech into the box. Luckily for me, my friend and mentor Nick Powley had a milling machine and CNC router, so we were able to cut a nice hole for the fingerprint scanner. This could have been done using a handheld router, but it would have been a lot messier. We ended up cutting the hole a little bit bigger than the fingerprint scanner so we could wedge it in with a piece of wood and not have to use any glue. After measuring where I needed the solenoids to fit, I drilled the holes, making sure to hold the drawers steady so that they lined up. And it worked! Thumbs up. Unfortunately, the solenoids were a little bit too big for the box, so the drawer wouldn't shut and we had to go back to the milling machine and get creative. This time around, I got to control the milling machine, which was intimidating, but I didn't cut anyone's fingers off or break the door, so overall, it worked out. And the door closed perfectly. Next, I drilled holes for the solenoid wires and one for this battery pack, because I feel like I might need that someday. Hopefully I can get the box functioning without my computer. I ended up moving the magnetic door stop because it was in the way of the solenoid, and testing the drawers and door a million times to make sure nothing got in the way of the functioning solenoid. Luckily, my dad is a dentist and could drill the door super thin in the spot where the end pin comes out, as you can see there.
Little spots for your solenoid to go in. See? The pin.
When it came time to attach the solenoids, I noticed they didn't quite reach the breadboard, so I had to figure out how to extend the wires. Ideally, this would be done with a female-to-female jumper wire, but because I didn't have any of these, I ended up soldering and using the heat shrink tubing. To do this, I used a soldering iron, some lead-free solder, my solenoids, heat shrink tubing, extra wires, a crimp made specifically for the male end caps, and a heat gun. After crimping on the end caps, which was a little hard to record, I tinned a lot of wires, and this just means coating them in solder. These ones are two good examples. Next, I soldered the solder together to connect the wires and added the heat shrink tubing. Not the prettiest looking wires, but they work great. And I triple checked that the door would close even with the solenoid present. And once I added the tech, which I will create another video about later, there was a few issues with the solenoids. They were pretty sticky, so even when powered, sometimes they stayed shut. So when I give this to my family, I'm probably going to get a different solenoid for the bottom drawer. Okay, good. And then I attached everything with Scotch sticky squares to make sure that it looked organized, and it was ready to go. Now we have open Sketch. It worked. You can tell I was pretty excited. We're going to verify. It is compiling. It's done compiling. Now we're going to upload it. Start downloading script. Success. And then open the serial monitor. It does that from time to time. There we go. Adafruit to text. Okay, put the same fingerprint on. And now open the drawer. Woo! Now try to open the other drawers to prove that this was not a hoax. Oh, it's real. It's magic.